Chronicles TV on air. We are now live in 3, 2, 1. What the girls saw.
So I snuck inside the carriage before they looked up to the horses, just like always. But it was right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I tell ya, you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. Then after a while, I heard this loud bang, nearly jumped out of my skin. I did, and scream just came out. It's because of that swell found me. He did help me get away, mind.
Huh? I can't understand what the hell she said. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why would you let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded?
Oh, the simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact.
Then who? How?
As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I sat that night, and the cubby hole of which you have spoken.
Oh, is underneath the seat, I presume? Yes, it does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of that girl's stature.
Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there, because I parked myself on the seat for the duration. So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent.
So who killed the guy is the question. Even though you must have realized your actions would result in your own innocence being called into question.
Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of the less fortunate lass. My goodness. What a perfect gentleman.
My lord, this fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir.
Only one left is the typewriter. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
Oh! Everyone's agreeing?
Yo! We got 6 votes.
Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leaning into the verdict not guilty.
What is going on? It must mean what? That we're victorious! That easily? We've won? Are you sure?
Objection! Why the foot? If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends, pray, do forgive this discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in the British judicial practices. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day.
Emotion?
The witness' latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature.
What do you mean, his true nature?
Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's not noted in black and white here in the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilded's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat.
What?
That is true. Where was the 4 bags? Order! Order! How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been affected, Council? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constability allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the stuff was there. The compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend? Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail, as would any self-respecting practitioner of law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? We did saw some stuff before all this.
Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy.
Sorry?
Go ahead, you tell the court now, fella. Now, how this is an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Von Sykes.
Well, Counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? This will affect the trial.
How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of the little compartment under the seat in the omnibus?
We have to tell the truth. Nothing but the truth. I really don't know if giving this answer is helping my cause as a counsel for defense, but as far as I remember, at least, when I first examined the compartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, Counsel?
Ara, be whist. What are you saying now, you daft dog? I thought you were on my side here.
What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand, but it seems to me that I should state what facts I do know as clearly and honestly as possible. Interesting.
That's not altogether pleasing, fella.
I'm simply telling the truth, Mr. McGilded.
Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing my best interests here, lad. Now then. A fellow's memory is a curious thing and not altogether reliable. No, the court must be considered the facts. That there cubbyhole under the seat is empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Did you think perhaps it would be in your best interest now to admit that you might have been mistaken?
Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. The compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. The guild rules state that the omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in the question. Bipple isn't that irresponsible. The money-lending fleecer and the pick purse are lying.
I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, a lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick, of course. It's a trick.
Here we go again.
Quite so. I must concur here.
My question is, where did the stuff go?
With calm, calculated reason, one arrives clearly at the truth every time.
Yes, but every different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the scales of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is the matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord.
What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem.
Where did the stuff go?
So I snuck inside the carriage before they looked me up. Horses just like always.
Hold it!
So you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run. Yeah, I mean, what's the point of spending a joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, innit?
Counsel, may I remind you that this girl's a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants.
Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified, and 1 little scapegrace riding for free. The red conker driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage to get myself in under the seat. Nice and easy, right?
Well, your hiding place is a storage compartment, full of equipment for the coach, no?
Yeah, there's brushes, buckets, and whatnots in there, sure. I always chuck all that out and cram it in a corner somewhere. No one ever gives their seems to bother much.
And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who first arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia.
Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I move all that stuff out so I could be eyed under the seat. That's all I can tell ya.
It seems we've reached the end of the line of the inquiry. Continue.
But it was right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night.
Hold it!
A waste of time? Why is that? Well, most nights I'm on me own in the God permit at least some of the time. What?
I beg your pardon, did you say God permit?
Well, yeah, that's what my kind calls it. You say the omnibus, I suppose? The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while.
And that's when you come out of your hiding place and get away.
That's it. Only the night. This cove was sat on me seat from the start, and didn't budge the whole way, did he? Did not 1 inch. I was totally stuck.
Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were under the seat the entire time while the events unfolded in the enclosed cabin?
Yeah. Right, mister? To be sure, I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've sat on and find a child now, do you? So this Miss Lestrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. The question is, who killed him? I tell you can't see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch there. And after a while, I hear this loud bang, nearly jump under my skin.
Hold it!
When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling to the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily. That's right. And then I felt the cushion over me head get lighter all of a sudden.
Presumably when the defendant got off in order to help the victim, yes. Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood in order to stop the victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at the crucial moment?
Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the cushion and added a quick butcher's while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the bloke, Wolt had fallen on the floor on the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGill's account, of course. But then, the fellow suddenly turns around and looks right at me. I sunk back down again, but it was too late by then. I should have never risked it looking.
And when Mr. McGill discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place.
I was scared stiff. I was dragged I was. He dragged me out and sat me down in the seat and all.
Next to the victim, Mr. Mason.
Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit, and he ended up falling onto me. How awful. Both me hands got covered in blood. It made me feel sick as a dog.
Both her hands covered in blood. That must mean what the rooftop passage saw. After that, I believe you talked with Mr. Megiddo for a while. Is that correct?
He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know me name and what I was up to with that. Then I heard something about above. Someone screamed.
Mr. First on the roof deck, I presume?
Well, I didn't want no one seeing me face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses drawn up smartish, and this is the Irishman says to me. Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later. All 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent.
For one brief shining moment, yes.
It's clear that they are still very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I have this niggling feeling. Something bothering me. But I just can't quite put my finger on it. What was the middle one? Hold it! So you couldn't see out in the cabin at all?
Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up, weave me head, and look at the crack. Then I can have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle.
I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher.
I mean, I can't have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? But for some reason that night, this here Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head.
And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion out to peek out, I see.
Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much.
No. Here we go.
Excuse me.
Yo, I went through the trouble going through the other ones, but not the middle one. And the middle one had the answer. Is something wrong, Mr. McGiddle?
Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, counsel?
I'm just wondering if Miss Lestrade, last comment made something occur to you, perhaps.
You seem to be thinking something to yourself.
Oh, no, 'twas nothing important.
I was feeling bad for the poor lass, that's all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad, so...
Oh, okay, I don't want to know this.
And I don't know about yourself, but I find that darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Yeah, I suppose it does. Maybe.
Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything, an unusual noise, perhaps?
Nah, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring.
Be jabbers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, ye little scamp.
What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue.
Yes. What should we make of that last statement of hers? My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness profoundly important. Profoundly important? But all she said was she heard nothing. Yes, which is profoundly important. I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure. Miss Gina Lestrade, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating the last statement, please.
What? Superman? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me.
That's right.
Insult the judge. Always a good move.
I was straining ears to me work out was what going on. All I heard was snoring.
Hold it!
So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hid yourself.
Not exactly, no.
Sorry?
Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher to see what was what. But then, when I saw the swell getting on, I got me head down so I didn't notice me.
Mr. McGill sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct?
Yeah, would you Adam and Eve it? And water mug? So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? But would he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here.
Stop here and there. I have never heard the door open, so I just had to stay put and listen to. I'm with all those apostrophes. I'm just losing it. His pigs in the market, throwing like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw from that? I wonder. Miss Lestrade, what you have just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. I'm just making this up as I go along. I don't know what's going on anymore. Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Sykes realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence or some complicit party's name at the very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGill snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. What do we got in the court record? What was the entire noise that she heard? Let's see. What were the testimonies again? Just in case. Show a piece of evidence, show a person. Show a piece of evidence, show a person. There's something else she should have heard. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question, the sound very clearly explained the following piece of evidence. No, it would seem phantoms are at work again, this time in my Nipponese friend's ears. Yeah, I have no idea where I was going with that. I have no idea where I was going with that. Because I'm not paying attention. According to Mr. Willis, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. Manghetto snoring, but think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. Take that! Okay, I had the right idea, but just not the right evidence. Thrice fired Mason? Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order, order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on the board the omnibus. Is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGill. That it was. Not a soul was in the cabin when I climbed aboard. At least not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin in the omnibus at the time? Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that was what you mean.
Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure.
And from what we've heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on the onward journey. During which time did you not hear the door opening or closing at all?
I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for. Waiting for the swell to leave.
In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Oh, we know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. I don't know why I say that. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord von Zykes. Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency with Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. He's dead right. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. And the girl is a pickpocket, let's not forget that. And there it is. She didn't even say anything.
I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she has rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars.
Neither can I. Mr. Foreman. I didn't want to judge the girl just because she has calm, lust, and salubrious ways. But I must say, I cannot abide liars. Oh, I think we know what we need to do.
Mr. Naruto, it's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty.
Well, your consideration for the others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerable troubles you have spared me. Excuse me. Yes, very refreshing.
What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadan? Tis is carnage. It's perfect.
Juror number 2 is the only one left.
Naruto, the way this is going,
I know if we can't find some new way to convince everyone of Mr. Megiddo's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost.
I very much wanted to believe the words of one of the London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Hold it! Yes, the witness' last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Consul?
I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean?
Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prorogue my whatever. Explain yourself at once. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Whatever. The carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words are to be believed, How do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? Was he the one sitting and she's the one? There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. He was already there. There's another entrance. He was put there after he died. Let's go with this! Obviously, the victim must have been placed in the carriage after he was killed.
Objection!
Tell me, my learned friend, what was the function of that obviously in your last sentence? Huh? Well said, Lord Von Zykes. The obviously is troubling me also. No, that's really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been moved into the carriage afterwards. Then answer me this. How could a cadaver have been placed inside a moving carriage? Well, obviously, well, I'd rather have a fresh start, to be honest. Where are we going with this? We'll be right back. Okay, we're back with a fresh start. There's only one way to explain how the victim came to be inside the carriage. He was in there already? There was another entrance. Clearly, he was in there already beforehand.
Objection!
So the answer is... Oh, so it's the same thing. It's the same thing that we got. So the answer is the middle one. There was another entrance. Well, what entrance was there? Alrighty then. Judging from the Nipponese eyes, so I ask you again. Blah blah blah. Get to the point, Chief. There's another entrance. If the door wasn't open even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way.
Objection!
What is there? I wonder what new fantasy you would come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door. The other has only windows. Fixed windows, which cannot possibly open in short. There is no entrance to the cabin other than the door.
Objection!
But there could be. There is one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, that use of which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Alright, counsel. Defense will identify the location for the court. Here is the omnibus in which the incident occurred. Where on earth the entrance by which you propose the victim enter the cabin? Give me this. Can we enter? Can the person enter through here? You can certainly see the inside the carriage opening through this opening for sure. That's a lamp on the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witness would have been able to see it quite clearly. That's not good for us. So where in this place would there be an opening? Can the Joy-Con drift cooperate with me? Open this. Wait, there was blood on the floor? This was not there. That's blood, isn't it? It's something wrong? Oh, it's just, well, this blood stain is so obvious that's all, and yet Von Zykes has made no mention of it. So that does seem a little strange. It was not there before. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? The blood was not there. If quite large skylight, isn't it? Yes, quite large enough for a good view into the cabin from the roof deck. And there doesn't appear to be a handle or a catch of description. So I suppose it can be opened from the inside, the cabin at least. It's a glass window. Is it open? We're gonna make a guess on here and then there.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It can only be the skylight. I said the skylight?
Objection!
Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However, the skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through.
Objection!
So you claim, but do you have a shred of evidence to support your adult brain theory? Both Mr. McGiddle and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as noise made by someone falling to the floor. That's the sound of the victim falling from the seat, having been assaulted with a dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man sleeping from the seat on the floor really have made such a loud noise as the witness described? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out a voluntary cry, in fact? Good gracious! Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment the victim had made the entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it.
Objection!
I still didn't even see the blood when we first saw it. You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin? That's simply impossible. How can you be sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, the passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, no one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but hold it. Might a humble fella make a wee comment here, Mr. McGiddle? To be sure now, the two fellows who were sat on the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not as much case of them not saying, but in this case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Huh. Oh my goodness, surely not. Those two chaps on the roof? You mean the ones who struck the knife and the man were accomplice? Hold it. Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blithering? You rotten, he said, you rotter. What are you insinuating? Just as a flaming outrage, I've a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute. He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I. Mr. Fairplay, you're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and a well-respected banker. And me, a very angry hatter. Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. I protest in the strongest possible returns. That's right, I protest too. About you, you rotten scoundrel. Order, order. This is not time to witnesses. I will not permit the wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Von Zykes. It was the defense that incited the outburst from the witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon old protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accused? I never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You propose to the court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimidated their criminal guilt. In our British courts of law, that is what a term baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put the idea forward without any actual evidence, but you cannot just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get to them! Testify!
I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. We have seen this matter through now, one way or another.
Excuse me.
If there is filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once.
Testify! Testify!
What's happening?
The spectators in the public gallery are. They're in complete frenzy. Testify! Testify! Okay.
My lord? You will take the stand again and make another formal testimony in reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord.
I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward. And with that, we'll end the episode right here. Like and subscribe, Chronicles 6TB, and I'm signing out.